Yeah. Uh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hi, guys. Welcome to It's All About the Agents. I am extremely honored today. I'm joined by a co-host, Pam McCrorie. Pam McCrorie is one of my counterparts. She works in the beautiful state of Texas, and she manages her distribution partners from Austin throughout San Antonio. Pam, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Albert. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting us to be part of All About the Agents.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that I wanted to do is really, the efforts of It's All About the Agents is really bringing in information about distribution partners throughout the country. And Pam, when I asked her, do you have any distribution partners that you want to join us to talk about what they do? She really just jumped on the opportunity. So I really do appreciate that. So Pam, who is your guest today? Talk a little bit about your relationship and let us know, what benefits they brought to the table for your partnership.
All right. Well, my guest today, or our guest today, I should say, is David Perez of Lumen Insurance Technologies. And when you put the word out about, inviting other counterparts throughout the United States, I immediately jumped on it. You were correct. And I knew immediately who I wanted to invite, and that was David Perez. And I'll just tell you a little bit about David because I don't want to steal any of his story from him that he's going to share. But a little over 5 years ago, I met with David, and he wanted to tell me about his vision and what he wanted to do. And again, without trying to take away from his story, David was going, what I like to say, from a for sure. So anyone who has a current job, you get comfortable in that. He was going from a for sure into what I call a what if, what if, is this going to work? Right, and I never said that to him. He didn't say that to me, but that's what was going on in my mind.
Sure.
And immediately, as I learned more about his vision and the type of agency he wanted to own and what he wanted it to be about, I was hooked. And then the other thing I thought was, wow, it takes immense courage, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
To, go out on your own and, start something from scratch. I don't care what kind of business you're in, right? So it takes a lot of courage. And I have a lot of respect for him for doing that. And he's heard me say it before. His face might turn red right now, but I do think a lot about him. He goes after niche business, which he will talk more about, which is technology. And he is so knowledgeable about technology that I'm pretty sure that he's taught me a thing or two just in our conversations. Yeah. So he's very knowledgeable about technology related risk. He's got a good, he's in good with the tech industry here in Austin. And I just really enjoy working with him. I enjoy the passion that his agency has for this class of business. It's just super exciting. And I also really enjoy working with another force behind Lumen, which is Natasha Fuentes. Again, very knowledgeable. I'm sure David could speak give high accolades about Natasha as well. So I could go on and on about other reasons why I like working with Lumen, but I'm going to give David some time here to talk about himself and Lumen and how you got started.
So David,
I think I'm on the right call, right?
Yeah, she set the stage for you, man. I mean, that is great. And the greatest thing about what I wanted to create with this segment is really build upon the relationship, right? The relationships that we have. The industry is a relationship business. It's hard to get ahead in our industry without building that rapport and those relationships. So obviously, David, you have built a great relationship with Pam as well, and Natasha and the team. So talk to us a little bit about your relationship with Pam and the agency.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and it's Friday and it's beautiful, and we're in Austin, so everybody's in a good mood here. And for those outside of Austin and outside of Texas, no, Pam did not ride her horse, nor did I to work today. So Just wanted to throw that out there. There's some perceptions about Texas that,
and I'm not wearing a cowboy hat.
Yes, Pam has always been a very avid advocate of me and what I'm trying to accomplish here at Lumen, and I'm forever thankful for everything that she's done for me from the moment that I made the decision to start my own agency. One of the hardest things about starting the agency is that you need carrier appointments.
Right.
And that's the biggest challenge, frankly. And, to double click on the relationship here, you have to have somebody on the inside that's advocating for you to even get the appointment, to even get to the point where we can write business. And so Pam has always been like, hey, I'm going to go talk to so-and-so. I'm going to talk to, this person, that person.
Sounds like Pam. Absolutely.
I am going to make sure it's my mission. Like she might say language like that to other people as well, I'm sure. But, I am grateful for that. Wouldn't be here today and have, clients without Pam. So very appreciative of that. But even on the follow on to that, Pam has always been somebody that I can just, hey, I need help with this. And
absolutely.
so
A
resource to reach out to. And I think that's what a working relationship, looks like, frankly. Even one day, Pam, she might blush now, but she called me one day and just said, hey, I was just thinking about you today, and I was praying for you. And I, just wanted you to know that. And I mean, I've never had a marketing rep reach out and say, I'm praying for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's awesome.
I need all the prayer that I can get.
Yeah.
We have that relationship to where we know where we stand with that. But I mean, that's another example of the relationship that, we've got. So very, very thankful for that. But that's kind of the beginning of, where we are.
And that is you said something so important, because it is about the rapport and the support, right? When you feel that your carrier partner has got your back, you know that your distribution partner is doing what they can to promote you, to promote the product, right? It's just like it's a synergy, right? That you built within each other, and your wins are our wins. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? That we see in our industry, and that's what truly makes a great partnership. And I could definitely see Pam, doing that and just being that coach. She's one of our coaches on our national calls as well, so she does a great job with that. So we talked about the word niche, and you said something that has really resonated with me. And you said the riches are in niches. And that speaks totally true to what you do with your segment and how you focus your agency. So walk us through a little bit about, the transition that you made, because that was a big jump, right? From being in a firm, starting your own firm, and then not only starting your own firm, but making it kind of a boutique type agency. So walk us through that, because I think that's phenomenal.
Sure. And like I've said before, riches in the niches doesn't flow very well. It's got to be riches in the niches.
I like it.
So I mean, I guess it kind of developed over time where there's a bunch of factors that go into how somebody takes one path versus the other. And for me, it was just a younger producer starting out. I was kind of behind what I feel is behind my peers, because I was in the Air Force. And so when I was getting out of the Air Force, everybody had been into the corporate world for at least 6 years, if not 7 at that time. And so getting out, trying to figure out my bearings, kind of working my network and stuff like that. And so there's an element of timing that goes into it. Being one of the younger guys in the office, had opportunities to work on tech, a lot of some of the producers are like, hey, it's too small, I don't want to deal with it. Or, hey, I don't even understand what they're doing, like something with the internet or, ML, AI, whatever, like, I don't want to deal with it. And so, you get opportunities and at bats and you do a good job on one, it might turn into another and another. And so with seeing some of that, and along with that timing, some of my buddies were, they had been working for 6 years, some of them 10 years, it just kind of depends. And they're getting to that management level where they're making decisions, or they were getting to the point where, something happens in your mid 30s where you're like, is this it? I gotta do something else. Like, is this all there is? And so there's a lot of people that kind of make that leap, and I'm no different, timing wise. And so, they're starting their own company, and found myself in a position where it's like, well, your revenue is below the threshold for our, sweet spot, or your employee count is below the threshold for our sweet spot. And now running my own business, I look at the revenue threshold that we were talking about, and I'm like, man, I'd love to be at that revenue threshold. How many people are telling me no? Because I'm too small. And so, seeing that over time, people just didn't want to work with tech. The other thing that I saw around tech was that, there was kind of a fear around 2001. All these, the bubble happened, and then they all went away, and the valuations were too high. And, I think that could happen in any industry, frankly, but, there's a lot of that resident here in Austin. And then the other notion was that they're small, not a lot of premium associated with them. And then, they might get big, but then they sell really fast. And that's true. It's very true. But one of the stories that I like to tell is, a little small bop that I wrote, maybe with an agency or a carrier that may be affiliated with you guys. I don't know. Perhaps I don't remember.
You like that?
But I bet you it was. And so, hey, we can't be writing these little small bops. And then we get to the E&O piece a few months later, and everybody's high-fiving. We're talking about it in the sales meeting. And then, I'm kind of sitting there like, that was the one they told me not to write. Okay. And then, to pull it all the way back down to the other end, they sell to Goldman in a very short amount of time. I don't even think we go through another renewal. So we got like one.
So one pop. Right.
And then they're
which
gone.
happens. Absolutely.
It happens all the time. And then the thought is, well, see, I told you so.
Yes.
And so, it's kind of like, well, I guess, maybe they're right. And so my thesis was that follow the people, not the company, because the company is gone. And it's interesting because now at Lumen, I work with there were two co-founders. Each of them have gone on to raise venture capital. And so they've got institutional VCs involved. Their team's growing. Both of them are doing well in separate organizations. I do the insurance for both of them. And then they also had a COO that was that I enjoyed working with. And he was kind of like my daily, go-to guy.
Yeah, sure.
He joined a third startup and said, hey, we're having this conversation around D&O. We're about to get, some people on our board that we need to get insurance for. And there's other things happening and we need to talk. And so now I do the insurance for all three of them and have gone through multiple renewals. Only because I just follow the people and not necessarily the business. And it's not an earth-shattering concept. It's a very relational business, the business that we're in. And so it's just an example, but I kind of fell into that and I was like, hey, how do I replicate that?
Absolutely.
Even if they do sell, how do I get the D&O tail? And then after their time is up at the new company, the acquiring company, usually don't sit there and just, now they're millionaires and they don't just sit around. They go build something even bigger, and they already have the game plan. So now they start even bolder than they do in the past. Typically. And so that's the model. I hope I'm not giving away too many secrets here.
No, but it's
simple.
What's really interesting though is that you've mentioned a few things. You said I looked at specific. You lead with specific lines of business, right?
Yep.
That you know that are a need, right? You have specific centers of influence that you continue to build relationships on, right? And those centers of influence, because they trust you, you were able to help them with company A. Now they're on to company B, C. That now becomes your referral base, right? So you've kind of created this ecosystem of technology based risks, and fortunately for you in Austin, all of us in California, everybody's moving to Austin, right? You guys are, all the tech is leaving California, right? So in your world, you're consistently seeing new opportunities coming in and out.
Right.
And I also think too, from a physical standpoint, you've also, you've shared that physically you've positioned yourself as well in being in that world. So talk a little bit about that too, if you can.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in two ways. I mean, geography, talking about like where you are, as it relates to a map. If we were focusing on oil and gas, Austin's probably not the best place to be.
Right.
And I remember meeting with an agent down in Houston a long time ago. A friend introduced me when I was getting out of the military, and he said, "Well, why do you want to live in Austin?" And I gave him my reasons, and he goes, "Yeah, but if you want to be in insurance, that doesn't make sense. There's nothing that blows up in Austin." And I'm like,
"That's okay.
Good point."
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to be, if you're in Austin, you probably don't want to be in a business where you want to deal with things that blow up. And that was their perception of what needed to happen. And I agree. There's a lot of stuff in Houston that blows up, and not in a flippant way. I mean, you never want to see that, but there are things that they need to ensure that are different than the geography of where you're at.
Right.
I just, again, it goes back to that niche thing. I found it interesting that we're in Austin in a, it's, people call it Silicon Hills, or the next Silicon Valley, or a startup hub, or whatever you want to call it. But nobody's really like focused on that, and for the reasons that I had mentioned before.
Sure.
So as time will tell to see how how great of an idea, and not just an idea, but how great of execution we can do on that. So we're still, riches are in the niches, but riches are not here yet. So just to clarify for everybody.
Right.
But the other thing about geography, when you get localized, we were in an office space, and you can come across people in the hallway, or in the parking lot, I suppose, or out at lunch or whatever. But what I found was that when I first started, I was like everybody else, working from the house. Now that's a lot more normal than in the past. And so, we just had some kids, and man, it's just wild in here. And so I had to get out and go be somewhere else. And when I was evaluating where I should be, like, where do I get office space? I had two clients. A third one came on board later, but 2 clients in the space that I'm in. It's a co-working space. For those who don't know on the call, I think everybody's familiar with like WeWork. But it's more of a community. Everybody goes to the bunch of different companies all going to the same place to get coffee. Usually right around the same time. They usually have a keg on tap as well. And so usually
Fridays are good.
Around the same time on Thursday or Friday, you can, if you're open to it. You don't want to be the hummingbird or the bee that kind of rolls around each table like, "Hey, what are you working on?" Like, "Hey, are you on a call?" Like, "Hey, want to buy some insurance?" But people see you. They watch you interact. They get the opportunity to, we can meet each other. We can talk, and being in that space has lent itself to other opportunities as well, from friendship standpoint, from an investment standpoint, and from a client standpoint. And so, you look at those opportunities that, if I was in an office shutting my door, that I wouldn't have. You can always go out and network, of course, but you're kind of out there with everybody else. And here I'm meeting them where they are.
Right.
And what I found was that they would usually, like if they were making it, they would start very small. They would grow, they would get a suite upstairs, and then they get so big that they move out. And then the next cycle comes in. And so, it's kind of like the Matthew McConaughey line from Dazed and Confused, which I will not repeat. But
yeah. Well, David, would you agree that I think a lot in my experience, especially startups, without sharing secrets, they do like to talk about what they're working on and sharing. I mean, without sharing too much, right? But I think they appreciate that if you show an interest in them. And so I've been there where David offices, and it just you can feel the energy and the buzz of all those like tech related risks. So it's pretty cool.
That entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like everybody's working, like you're building your business, they're building their product, right? So everybody's kind of in that. That's great. Thank you for sharing that, David. Thank you for sharing that.
One story I was going to tell on that, I'm sitting down with people who are literally trying to become the next, you fill in the name. Sometimes it can get out of hand where they're like, I was talking with somebody and they were like, well, yeah, whenever I'm a billionaire, what I would like to work on is, and I'm like, did you say B with billionaire with a B, right? Like that what you just said? And they're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, Zuckerberg did it. I can do it. So there's, there
all different levels, all different levels, right?
But at the same time, I remember talking with somebody about an idea and they're like, hey, well, let's go whiteboard it right now. Like if you want to map it out, maybe on Google Ads or, hey, if we built out this technology piece together, like what would that look like? And, we'll hop into a conference room and just on the spot start, whiteboarding on the wall. Stuff like that happens all the time. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And so I've learned kind of what you guys were saying earlier, to not be like, hey, well, what do you do? And hey, what do you drive? And hey, where do you live? And all that kind of stuff. It's
your approach. Yeah, your approach becomes a little bit different, right?
Yeah. What are you working on? What are you building?
It's that language. It's speaking their language, right? That's what's going to help you connect. One of the things too that we're celebrating this month, LatinX, Hispanic Heritage Month, and David is Hispanic owned. He's Hispanic, so I wanted to really highlight that as well. And also, just talk a little bit because we do see that there's not as much diversity, right, in the as insurance principals or agency owners, right? We don't tend to see a lot of Hispanic owned agencies, and we're starting to see more and more. And David, you've done a phenomenal job building your practice, and we've talked about what it means to you being a Latino broker, and we talked a little bit about whether you think advantage, disadvantage. You shared some thoughts around that, but share a little bit about what it means to you and how it's helped you build your practice.
Yeah, and I I almost hesitate to call things advantages and disadvantages, as you know. When we look at disadvantages, we look at woe is me.
Absolutely.
I don't belong here. A victim mentality almost. And I think, my grandma and both my grandmas would probably smack me and my family would probably smack me if I had that mentality. So, I think of things as opportunities and advantages. And so I'll focus on 100% on that opportunity side. You're right. And it sounds like there are some stats out there. My perception, just being in the wild of, at a producer level, is that there's not a lot of, color when it comes to producers. There's not a lot of diversity at all, gender or skin color when it comes to agency principals either. And I think that that's just a huge opportunity for people who, maybe, female or people of color and in our case, Hispanic, to step up, jump into that role. and give it a shot and go for it. And so I see it as, we look a little bit different than everybody else. So that to me, that is an advantage.
Opens up,
I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you walk into the room, if you don't look like everybody else, then you kind of stick out.
You're right.
If you're in sales, or if you're trying to hire somebody, or hey, who's that guy? Like, where did he come from? What's his story? I want to go talk to that person.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to learn, that kind of stuff. And so I think that's a good opportunity. I would also say, like, there was a National Society for Hispanic MBAs event. And
Nishimba.
I was part of Nishimba. I remember when I was getting out of the military, would go to some of the conferences. I think, went to Atlanta for one of the conferences and stuff like that. I mean, you can, I guess, I got to eat my own dog food here, because you can go in and stick out, maybe in a bad way if you're not Hispanic, but, going to those events, like, you don't get access to that network, you can, but, in general, you're not going to be chomping at the bit to sign up for that if you're not Hispanic and don't have an MBA. It's just kind of, that's what that organization is designed to do, help those people. And so, you don't get access to something like that if you're not Hispanic. And so, I think it's more about looking for the opportunity to stand out, looking for the opportunity to be different, looking for the opportunity to highlight an accomplishment, more than seeing it as, well, I can't be an agency principal because if you look at the stats, they're pretty glib. Or I can't
putting those limitations on yourself and like you say, if you're sitting in a room with somebody that's talking about how am I going to become a billionaire, that conversation is motivating you and saying, okay, well, how am I going to ensure that billionaire, right? How am I going to be able to take it to the next level? And I think you bring up a really good point, is that, you're looking at yourself as an insurance professional and how I'm going to elevate myself. And the other thing too is we want to always, when I do this segment, I always want to encourage, young professionals and like you said, female, from other ethnicities, we want to see our industry grow. We want to see and again, our industry is also, we have a lot of people getting ready to retire, right? We have a lot of people in whether it's in any capacity, whether it's underwriting, sales, whatever capacity that you want to get into, there's opportunities. So if, one thing that I love to get across, and it's not only the relationship, Pam, that you've built with David as well, but just David, your vision, you took it upon yourself, got out of the military. By the way, thank you for your service. You came out of the military, you had a plan, you went for it. You said, okay, how do I pivot? Right. So you had this entrepreneurial spirit. And for a lot of us that are out there, we want that, and I think that insurance can give you that vehicle, right? That insurance can give you a vehicle to be successful. So, David, you're proof of that, and I know Pam is going to continue praying for you as well to get you to where you need to be. But I think
I need all the prayer I can get.
Right. But I really think that this relationship and that you guys have built is really just a testament of what our industry is about.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I would, to your point, the seeing things as an opportunity for young Hispanic folks, seeing the industry and being like, oh, it's just a bunch of old white dudes. Like, why would I want to be part of that?
Sure.
Again, see it as an opportunity. Like, that's going to change very soon. And as you alluded to, there's a lot of retiring. There's some corporate knowledge that's going to go with that too. And so now's your opportunity to learn from the folks like I did. I'm very grateful for the folks that gave me an opportunity at my prior company. Still thankful for those folks.
And seize that opportunity. And the one thing too with insurance, what things people have to understand too is that there's a passion. If you're passionate about a specific industry, you can actually insure that industry. So,
Yeah.
you know, in your case, you felt like technology was cool, it was innovative, it was interesting, and you said, okay, I'm going to go after that. So you're consistently energized and you're becoming a student of the industry. So I really want people to understand that if you're into something, you know, you can utilize that passion in this industry as well.
Correct. And still learning. I mean, things are changing so quick, and the risk change too. I mean, you look at COVID, you look at
Absolutely.
People are now outside of the office, spread out. There's different cyber risks. There's different, you know, hey, are you going to require vaccines? Are you not going to require vaccines? Are you going to make people wear masks? Are you not? There's so many
constantly
issues that are changing right now. Absolutely. That, you know, you're always on your toes trying to keep up with, you know, that environment. And so, I definitely welcome more young Hispanic folks to check it out. I think the stat was 4% of college grads were interested in evaluating the insurance industry. That's not a lot of folks.
That's not a lot of folks
for young people.
Sure.
And so if you're Hispanic and you're young, that's a great way to stand out. And so, you know, maybe recruiting buzz here for the industry.
Absolutely.
But it is a great opportunity, and I'm glad I didn't listen to my grandma, because when I was getting out of the military, she said, "Poppy, why don't you just go work for the post office?"
And you're like, no, abuela, that's not
you made a wise choice, David.
Yeah. So you know, for those, and I've talked about this in the past with other folks too. You know, sometimes family can be really good and have really you know, great wisdom, but at other times, like, make sure you're talking to the right people as you're trying to figure out next steps, figure out, you know, who you're going to listen to and why you're going to listen to them. My grandma lived to be 100 years old, so she's seen some things. But
and you would listen.
She didn't see Amazon coming. She didn't see Amazon coming. So, anyhow, my 2 cents on you know, the folks who are the future, frankly.
Thank you for that, David. No, I really appreciate that. And you know, Pam, thank you for making this happen. I mean, honestly, this has been a really good opportunity. You know, it helps other people that follow, you know, seeing what agents are doing throughout the country. Pam, any other thoughts that you want to share before we sign off for today?
Well, just that, you know, I think there's a main theme going through this entire conversation, which is relationships, whether it's, you know, agents with their clients or you know, agents with their partner carriers. And it is simple. Yeah. In reality, it's simple. It's relationship based. And so I'm going to do whatever I can do to help my agent shine with their, you know, clients and their relationship. And I hope I've shown you that, David. I appreciate you. And just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. And I do think you're courageous. That word will always come in my mind for you.
I like that. I like that.
Or naive, or
that never even comes into play. It's always
one
courageous.
of the two.
No, thank you.
I appreciate
thank
that,
you
Pam.
both so much. Yeah, no,
Pam
and David, thank you so much for your time today. You know, I'll be sharing this on our LinkedIn platforms. You know, for those of you that do follow, make sure that, you know, if you want to learn more about Lumen and Dave Perez's agency, please reach out to him. I know that, you know, if there's some young talent out there looking to get into the industry, you know, that's a great agency to be a part of. You know, I know that David's always looking to expand and grow. So I put that plug out there as well. And then Pam, thank you so much for making this happen, and look forward to having you guys back again. This is great.
All right. Thank you, Albert.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, David.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Happy Friday.
Bye.
Happy Friday.
Bye.